Yo, what's going on YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are going over the second round Stanley Cup playoff matchup here in 2022 in the Central Division. We're seeing a little bit of a rivalry being sparked here between the St. Louis Blues and the Colorado Avalanche. We're going to go for my predictions here. Who's going to win this series? We're going to go over that today. So looking at the head-to-head matchups between these two teams, it favored Colorado. They won the series 2-1. They won two of the three games against St. Louis. Overall, not that big of a deal. Head-to-head only matters for as much as you want to make it. It's not that big of a deal, but again, if it's 3-0 or 0-3, then it starts to be a little bit more, you start to wonder. Goals for per game this season for each of these teams, they were both high potent offenses, so expect to see some goals in this series. St. Louis was third in the NHL during the regular season with 3.77 goals, and Colorado was just behind them, fourth in the National Hockey League for goals for. So we saw St. Louis put up a couple of fivers on the Minnesota Wild. We could see Colorado, who put up a couple sevens, a couple touchdowns on Nashville. We could see a little bit of a balance between those two. I think this is going to be a very good series in that regard. We're going to see some goals here. Goals against average in the league. The St. Louis Blues 13th in the National Hockey League, and the Colorado Avalanche 11th. So very even matchup in terms of goals for, goals against. Very, very even. Power play wise, Colorado was 7th in the NHL at 24%, and St. Louis was second best in the National Hockey League at 27%. Now you compare those stats to the playoffs, both these teams did extraordinarily well on the power play, especially Colorado. They were able to bury the Nashville Predators a couple of games because of some power plays. They were very, very efficient. You just knew when they had the puck, you're like 20 seconds into the power play, if it got that far, you're like, oh, they're going to score. You could just tell. Like, Colorado was just moving the puck around, guys cycling, it could make you cry how good their power play was. Just incredible for the Colorado Avalanche. Same thing for the Blues, but in a little bit of a different way. They just get a lot of shots to the net. They have a lot of lethal scorers out there. Jordan Kyrou, Tarasenko, O'Reilly in front of the net. They just have guys that can get it done. And I think that's where the St. Louis Blues have benefited this season, is really an uptick in their scoring capabilities. As good as they've been defensively, offensively, they've gotten a lot better and more lethal, to be completely honest. Penalty kill-wise, the Colorado Avalanche 15th in the league, and St. Louis 5th best in the National Hockey League. So the Blues' penalty kill could be the difference here. If they could shut down Colorado's power play, and normally I wouldn't say that meaning that much, but we've seen a lot of penalties in the first round, and power plays, a lot of special teams. So if that ends up being the difference, St. Louis Blues penalty kill is really good, and they are always known to be a defensive-minded team. And this could be an interesting series. For some reason, I just get the sense that there's something off with this series, and I don't know. Call me crazy, but I'm really going to be teeing up to see what happens here in that first game. I think that first game in Colorado is going to tell us a lot of the story, what happens here. So that's what you're looking at there. Just notes for each of these teams. For St. Louis, Binnington came into the series in relief for Ville Husso. Ville Husso started the series. He got a shutout in Game 1, really struggled in Games 2 and 3, and then we saw Binnington come in and finish out the rest of the series. He was 3-0 in the postseason so far. So Binnington has been really solid, and are we seeing a little recollection of what we saw back in 2019, return to the Blues? Are they going to start playing Gloria now that Binnington is on a roll? Tarasenko has been scoring. He's been a scoring phenom here through the playoffs, a huge threat. And the St. Louis Blues, I think this is going to be what I talk about here in Game 1. Can the St. Louis Blues style of play dictate what happens to the Colorado Avalanche? Because of the way Craig Berube runs things in St. Louis, they play a very, very forcible game. And we saw the Minnesota Wild kind of fold under that because they just weren't able to control the way the Blues wanted to play, and that really ended up hurting them as the series went along. And you wonder if Colorado, as good as they are, they play a similar game to Minnesota in that sense. Could they fall victim to that same mentality? because St. Louis is one of those teams where they very rarely in this series did they give up a lead. And I think that could pose a threat here to the Avalanche. If they go down early in one or two of these games, St. Louis gets a couple power plays, and Colorado kind of comes out of the gate stumbling. They've had a week off. Are they going to be ready to start this series? And that, like I said, could be the difference here. Looking at the Avalanche, Kemper has been good, but again, he wasn't overly tested, so it's hard to really decipher how good he was in that first round. And when you put him up against Binnington, who was really good in the first round, it makes you wonder who has the edge in between the pipes. Is it Binnington because he actually had to face more rubber, or was it Kemper because he just had to do what he had to do and the team in front of him was just so dominant? Obviously, the lethal side of things, the anarchy on the Avalanche comes from Cale Makar, who's probably going to win the Norris this year. Nathan MacKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog coming back from injury, scored 3 or 4 goals this series. He was really good. They're getting lots of depth scoring, which could end up being their advantage in this series. And they have that lethal power play as well. So I think looking at both of these teams, the 3 key points I look at: goaltending, who's going to be the better head-to-head against each other between Binnington and Kemper. That's the first storyline. The second one is who's going to get more depth goal scoring, because I think that's where the Avalanche may have the edge here. And the third thing is, like I said in the first series for Minnesota and St. Louis is able to dictate play. They have guys this is a playoff roster in St. Louis. And I worry that Colorado just might not be able to get out of their own way with this team. And St. Louis might be able to force their will on the Avalanche, quite frankly. And I wonder if St. Louis is going to be able to get in the head of Landeskog and MacKinnon and Makar, especially Bowen Byram. We saw the Predators kind of attacking Byram in that first round. You expect Eric Johnson to kind of be focused on protecting Bowen Byram, maybe getting off his game a little bit. St. Louis can kind of play any way you want. St. Louis can play. And I think if they are very rough after the whistle, roughing up the Colorado Avalanche, I don't think Nashville did that enough in the first round. They didn't put enough fight in there. That's not a discredit to the Predators, but I think St. Louis brings a little bit more sandpaper and grit and that playoff style of hockey that I'm not sure Colorado is ready for. And that has been the Colorado Avalanche's Achilles heel throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is a tough pick for me because in the beginning of the playoffs, pat myself on the back. I'm 3 for 3 so far. I had the Florida Panthers winning in 6. I had the Colorado Avalanche beating the Nashville, not in 6, but I had them winning. And I had St. Louis beating Minnesota. So my pick here would be to go with Colorado. But for some reason, there's something in my head telling me that it's going to be St. Louis. And this is a tough series, man. This is one of those series I'm like, I don't know, Colorado, are they going to, we've seen so many reverse sweeps. Is there that threat? I don't know, man. My Avalanche fans are going to hate me for even saying that they could lose this series. So this is what we've got. We got the Blues, the underdog, the team that could dictate play in the postseason. It's hard to go against that. And Binnington, who's been a hot goalie. Darcy Kemper, he's been really good in between the pipes as well. But he kind of, he could have been tanning under the lights last week because he really wasn't getting peppered with all that many shots. It was all on the side of the Nashville Predators. Oh, man, this is tough, guys. All right. Here's my decision. I'm going with the Avalanche. I think the Avalanche go to the Western Conference Finals here in 2022. The only reason I'm going to do that is I think Colorado's got a chip on their shoulder. Oh, talk about hat head. I think Colorado has the edge. They know that this is their year. I think St. Louis, I don't think the window is going to close next season. They've got O'Reilly, they've got Buchnevich, they've got Tarasenko, they've got a good team. But for some reason, I think Colorado they are going to be desperate. They know what's on the line here. I think they get it done here. I think they win this series in 7 games. These are two really good, really good match teams. At the end of the day, I think Colorado at home, if it comes to a Game 7 in Colorado, I think the Stars are going to shine. They're going to align just perfectly for the Avalanche. I think they get this thing done. So, guys, let me know what you think. In the comment section down below, who do you think is going to take this one? I think this is going to be an extremely good series. Definitely building up that Central Division rivalry here between St. Louis and Colorado. I think this will be a good one, and I think we're in store for a really interesting series because as I'm saying Colorado right now, I'm really thinking to myself, St. Louis would not surprise me if they won this thing in 6 or 7 games as well. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.